The source says, and I quote, "There's no out there, it's all within." I mean, think about that for a second. That just sounds wrong, right? How can there be no out there?
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question. How is that even possible? Well, what's so cool about this source is that it doesn't just throw that idea out there. It actually gives us a kind of blueprint, a model for how this could work.
We have to start with the foundation of this whole model, the basic architecture of this reality. And it all kicks off with this really simple but honestly super profound idea: worlds within worlds.
So the source basically tells us to just toss out everything we think we know about reality. Forget a flat plane, forget a big empty void of space. Instead, you've got to picture reality as a series of nested spheres. Yeah, like those Russian dolls, one inside the other, but on a cosmic scale.
Let's actually try to visualize this. Picture a single sphere. Let's say that's our world, our Earth. Got it? Now, imagine that entire sphere exists inside another, much larger one. And then, you guessed it, that bigger sphere is also inside an even bigger one. And according to the source, this pattern just keeps going and going forever, an infinite nesting of worlds.
So, what does that even mean? If this nesting is infinite, it just completely breaks our whole concept of size, doesn't it? Suddenly, big and small become kind of meaningless.
And that brings us to the first really big piece of this puzzle. It's this idea of an infinite scale.
Suddenly, big and small become kind of meaningless.
And that brings us to the first really big piece of this puzzle. It's this idea of an infinite scale. But get this, it's not just about getting bigger. It stretches in both directions.
Yeah, the source is super clear on this. This whole worlds within worlds thing isn't just about going outward to bigger and bigger spheres. It also goes inward, describing a whole spectrum from the very small, we're talking quantum spheres here, unbelievably tiny worlds, all the way out to worlds that are bigger and bigger and bigger.
So we're not talking about just a handful of layers. No. This is a seamless, unbroken scale. It means every single point of existence, from the absolute smallest thing you can imagine, that micro-quantum level, to the biggest conceivable macro reality, is just another world inside another world. It's infinite, both in its detail and its scope. Mind-blowing, right?
Okay, so we've got the physical structure down, right? These infinite, nested spheres from micro to macro. But hold on, because the source throws another wrench in the works. There's another layer to all this, and it has nothing to do with size.
This is where things get really interesting. We're about to add the second key ingredient to this recipe for reality, something the source just calls dimensions. It's not just about worlds inside of other worlds anymore. The text talks about dimensions on top of each other. What does that mean? Well, it suggests that you can have completely different realities, different planes of existence, all occupying the exact same space at the same time.
So let's be super clear here. Think back to that Russian doll analogy for physical space. That's one part of it. But now you also have to imagine a stack of clear pages, like transparencies. Each page is a whole different dimension, a different reality, but they're all stacked right on top of each other. So this model is both nested and layered. It's wild.
Okay, let's take a breath and recap. We have worlds within worlds, like Russian dolls. We have an infinite scale going from the tiniest quantum sphere to the biggest macrocosm. And we have these different dimensions stacked on top of each other. So, where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway here? This is it. This is the moment it all clicks into place. We're going to go all the way back to that crazy-sounding idea from the beginning. But now, hopefully, we can see it in a whole new way.
And here it is again. There's no out there, it's all within. After going through all that, the nested spheres, the infinite scales, the stacked dimensions, suddenly that statement doesn't sound so impossible anymore. It kind of starts to make sense in a weird way.
Think about it. If reality is just an endless series of worlds inside other worlds and dimensions layered on top of each other, then where would out there even be? The whole idea of an outside just dissolves. There's no final border, there's no edge of the universe. There's only the next layer inward. The universe in this model is a completely closed loop. So, let's nail this down. Here's the complete model in a nutshell. 1. Reality is a series of nested spheres. 2. These spheres scale infinitely, both tiny and huge. 3. You have different dimensions layered on top of it all. And the big finale? You get a universe that is totally self-contained. The only way to explore is to go deeper within.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty massive question to chew on. If any of this is true, if the entire universe isn't out there but is actually an infinite system within, then what does that imply about us, about you, me, the observer? What does it mean to be a conscious being inside a reality that is already and completely within?